Thank you. Good. So I'd like to welcome you to this best practice workshop from the Austrian agency. Hello to so many participants from inside UNICOM. I've seen many members, and I also see many members who are not currently part of the UNICOM project. So that's even much better that we can share this information with UNICOM outsiders as well. I also would like to welcome my AGES colleagues. I saw some names in the list, so thanks for joining this meeting. And as you can see on the starting slide, thanks for all your contribution to make UNICOM a success at our agency. So thanks a lot. Today, together with my colleague Noel Diamant and Sonja Königshofer, we tried to set up interesting 90 minutes. Hopefully this will be enough because we have a very dense program. My name is Georg Neuwirther. I'm head of the Austrian Medicines, head of IT. I'm not head of the agency. I'm just head of IT of the Austrian agency. And I would like to ask Noel to introduce himself.
Yes, good afternoon from my side. I am afraid the camera is not giving a proper picture. So I'll just talk. Who am I? I've been working with Georg in the Austrian agency for the past 15 years.
You look fine, Noel, don't worry.
Now I can see myself. Perfect. We've done from IT everything there is to do. Starting, I think, nearly all of the projects. I'm a bioinformatician, and I've been working together with EMA for the last few years with the UNICOM Work Package 3 to try to improve upon the electronic application forms and the product lifecycle management. So today I'm here to talk to you from the other side as an employee from the Austrian agency and how we integrate the things that we also try to create together with EMA.
Thanks, Noel. So let's have a look at our agenda. So first of all, please consider the disclaimer, and please be also aware that this session will be recorded and published on YouTube or wherever Luke, who is our communication officer, plans to publish this important information. Our agenda is quite dense. So if some things are too fast, then please let us know via chat. And there's always the opportunity to have follow-up sessions if you're interested in any details of what we present today. Let me introduce our agency. So we are part of the AGES Limited Company. So the AGES Medicines and Medical Devices Agency is part of a bigger company. And we act on, let's say, if you know this objective, One Health. So we have different divisions working on patients and veterinary health and on food safety. So we are dealing here with licensing, authorizing of medicinal products, but also do post-marketing authorization, post-marketing activities, and are also responsible for medical device vigilance and many other business processes. It's very interesting to work in our agency. We are publicly owned, so we are owned by the Republic of Austria, and the division we are working for is also the business unit to provide information to the Federal Office for Safety and Healthcare, who delivers the official letters to the applicants. In this presentation today, we focus on deliverables that we covered in the last years within the UNICOM project. So we have, let's say, input material and input services from EMA that we will cover today. We have new opportunities with the new application form that Noel has already mentioned a bit before. Another input, of course, are the European implementation guides, where we take information from. Then we will see things that we have done in our core IT system, which is called PHAROS, that we introduced more than 10 years ago. So we had to refactor, extend our core IT system, meaning new user interfaces, a new business logic to handle new data elements, and of course, a much more complex business data model that comes with the ISO-IDMP concepts. Apart from technical stuff, we had to do a lot of updating SOPs and training material for our colleagues to deal with the new elements that we introduced with this. And this also has impact on our data consumers. So you will see some details how we export data to eHealth consumers, eHealth data organizations, how we support cross-border prescription, which is an objective in Europe. And you will also get some information about a prototype that we are now evaluating together with ELGA. ELGA is our national eHealth organization in Austria. Before going into details, we would also inform you that we are contributing in another work package, in work package 3, that sets up the new PLM portal together with EMA. And we are very proud that AGES is contributing with the network product owner in person. This is Noel Diamant. I hope the video and the photo are still the same. Yeah, similar. Artificial intelligence could find the match between the photo and the live picture from Noel. So we are contributing and acting as the network product owner together with Christina Posari from EMA. And there we are working on the implementation of the new application form creation tool. And I'm pretty sure Noel will mention some details a bit later. First, we start with what did we do in PHAROS. So as I said before, PHAROS is our core IT systems. This means PHAROS supports, I would say, 85% of our business processes that we handle in our agency. So ISO-IDMP had a massive impact on this system. Here you see an overview from EMA about, let's say, ISO-IDMP concepts. This is a very old picture, but I still like it. And in the purple is our color, circles, you can see which elements we touched or even fully implemented. So nearly every concept from EMA was considered in our UNICOM work. Some of them are a bit delayed due to missing specifications or to missing information, or we only could implement the structure but still have no data because there's no data in the regulatory activity available. But we covered most of the ISO-IDMP concepts. So what were the key changes in the core system? First of all, was we had to implement the administrable product, which we all know is also named with pharmaceutical product. Please do not be distracted. In this presentation, we use the term administrable product. This has some reasons. In the EU implementation guidelines or the standard, it's called pharmaceutical product. So it's a synonym now. It was not that bad to implement this because our database was already based on a reference data model called RDM version 3, where some of the ISO-IDMP concepts were already included. So it was not a total new database model in this aspect. We had to detail the packages. You know, now we have a more detailed structure with ISO-IDMP. This was a big challenge in the UNICOM project. Indications is a new information that we didn't have before in our system. Manufacturer details were enriched with new data elements. We also considered to have part names in the future. And we implemented some minor things, but also interesting to mention, the additional monitoring attribute as described in chapter 2 of the EU implementation guide. And then I have one slide describing or giving some details how we did the migration of our human medicinal products into this new concept. So let's start with the administrable product, and please let me know if you can hear me, if I'm too loud or not too loud or too fast, so that I have some feedback from the audience here. The administrative product concept was new in our FHIR world, so we didn't have this before. Before we had something which was very similar or was similar to the manufactured item, and this similar manufactured item class was, let's say, the data element leader, and this we had to change into the administrable product. While doing this, we followed the following principles. First, we wanted to implement it in such a way that the migration of legacy data can easily work. So we try to find synergies between business rules that we have for migrating all the data from the old world into the ISO-IDMP world. Second, we wanted to make sure that this new concept can be populated with EAF data so that we don't have to manually type data into this new class. Third, of course, RMS terms are mandatory. Pretty sure all of you are having this principle already. Then we wanted to minimize data entry effort. IDMP brings a lot of more data elements in a much more granular way. This means if you don't find clever solutions, you will have a lot of more manual administrative effort. And we tried to invent some things, and we will show this to you, to minimize this administrative effort, apart from optimized import from application forms. And we wanted to find a good balance between enriching the user interface with new elements versus complexity of the concept. On the next slide, I will give you a screenshot and will explain what you can see. As you can see here in our IT systems, we are German, of course, but some terms are in English, not because we are too lazy to translate, but when we speak to each other, we sometimes really use English terms, and that's why you find them in the user interface too. So first of all, you can see in this red box now, the overview of the administrable product, where our colleagues can get the most important overview information of this product, which is administered to the patient. You can also see that we have a national ID for this administrable product, but also placeholders for IDs from EMA SPOR. In the screenshot, you see an ID for Austria and for LE. LE stands for Liechtenstein. That's because we are processing marketing authorizations and doing lifecycle management for Liechtenstein as well. The next box shows you how we reference manufactured items. There are different views how we do this, but here it's very simple, shown this administrative product consists of 2 manufactured items, and here you can see the numbers of these manufactured items. For referencing internally, we use the internal national IDs. Next one. A very important information talking about ingredients and composition of administrable products are denominators. And what we did, we put this data element into the administrative product, and you will see the same concept in the manufactured item as well. So you can see here the strength denominators, here per 1 vial or per 1 milliliter in here. And this is only defined once for all the ingredient strengths that you can see below. So this is one of our, let's say, tricks or solutions to minimize the data effort and also reduce error reduction, because you define this strength denominator once per the composition of this product. Last but not least, the route of administration is now in this administrative product, and below this, and here you can only see 1 line, but of course there can be 10, 15, 4 lines of ingredients which are part of this administrable product. The ingredient line is the line where you have your substances from SMS and the strength information and many other information. This we didn't have to change too much, So this was already very, let's say, similar to ISO-IDMP concepts in our former database model. Second, we go to the implementation of the manufactured item. So the manufactured item is what is produced and maybe combined, reconstituted in administrable products. And this screenshot is a special one to explain one of our ideas that we implemented. Quite often, administrable products and manufactured items are the same. So for example, this is applicable for all tablets or any product that doesn't need reconstitution. So we followed the goal to minimize effort and doing error reduction. So you can see in the screenshot here and in our FHIR system, we duplicated the administrative product concepts because they are very similar to that administrative product. Then we introduced a flag that marks that this manufactured items is the same or is the administrative product, so people don't need to enter the same information twice. And we enable that in this scenario, manufactured items also have a route of administration. Of course, this is an exception. When you have a powder and solution, you won't find this route of administration in the manufactured item. So this is one way. And then, of course, you can see the list of ingredients of this manufactured item, very similar to the administrative product. This is quite the same as before. So you can see with this, we can reduce the amount of, let's see, data handling tasks to our colleagues, and all the reports that we're doing or the search filters or data exports are evaluating this flag and are handling accordingly if it's the same or if the administrative product consists of one or many other manufactured items. Then we come to the package. The packages, I like the packages because this is what you can buy in the pharmacy. And the package concept is much more detailed and granular than we had before. So here you see the concept of the packaged medicinal product. I have a new abbreviation. I didn't find an official one, so I call it PMEDP. And this packaged medicinal product has shelf lives, one or more, that we are now able to store. And it can consist in this example of 2 layers. So it's a box, first layer, and then inside the box we have 2 vials with 2 different manufactured items. So you can see here the Schachtel is the box, and then you have 2 Durchstechflaschen vials which are inside the box. And you can describe this with the container and the container material and the container parts material. But also here you find the place where you link the quantity of the manufactured item. So you link the package layer with the manufactured item and give the manufactured item quantity here, so to inform how much of this manufactured item is inside this package item layer. Please be informed that the unit is not displayed or inside this table because this can be reused from the manufactured item. So this is another trick to reduce data administration or even avoid errors that you have here a different unit than you have it on the manufactured item. Here you can see the reference, so you can see there's national numbers again, but also including a textual description. So if you have a glance on the package that you have, let's say, summarized information what this manufactured item is. We also enriched information and data elements for devices that are co-packed or part of the package layer. And oops, I go back, sorry. And we tried to introduce some user experience elements. So you can see on the left that you can collapse or expand the package layers so that if it's a more complex situation, that people can easily navigate through the package layer structure. Yes, then let's move on to I think, two more concepts that are not that complex that, compared to the administered product and the packages, but they are giving future opportunities to PHAROS. The first one is we implemented data structures that can keep indication information. So we are now able to import, I need to say automatically import indication information from the SMPC, from section 4.1. And below you can see data elements that can keep coded indication. So these elements are prepared, and the plan is that we will consume this data from SPOR PMS once SPOR PMS is available for a data transfer. So this opens up further use cases in our agency in the future. Another one, not very tricky but interesting, name parts. We are aware of ongoing name parts discussion across Europe. So how much will be mandatory? Who will do the name parts splitting for legacy products, etc. So we didn't invest too much time in that, but we set up the foundation. That means business colleagues can select or can say which name parts they would like to enter into the system. So there we have a catalog saying this is the strength name part or some other name parts. Sorry, they're in German here, so it's too hard to translate to me on the fly. But this is a catalog that can be enriched or limited, however. And then you have a dynamic table where you can enter the name parts, or you can import, and this is our plan. We will not do this manually. We will import this information from the new PLM portal created EFs, where Noel is working on together with EMA. Last but not least in this here, manufacturing information becomes more and more important when we think about the European shortage monitoring platform. We know that we need information about manufacturers, etc. So this is a domain where we invest time and money to enrich information in our system. So currently we have already good databases. So currently we are importing this information from the application forms. But now we added a new information. Let's say we prepared this. We also want to have information about the licenses and the licensing authority. So you can see here in the red box, there are new data elements that are prepared for the future. When we get this information from the electronic application form, we will import this and can display or report it or summarize this for our business colleagues. As a next slide, I'd like to say some words about how we dealt with the migration from all the legacy data into the new concept. So I'd like to thank again my colleagues and external consultants who helped us in thinking how to do this, because this could become a disaster if you don't do it well. Here, my colleagues or our colleagues did it perfectly, I need to say. So we planned a stepwise migration of legacy data from bottom up. So we started with enriching the manufactured items. So this is something we had very similar already before, this concept. And so we started with this. Then we created this composition of which administered product consists of which MEs. Much of that most of it could have been done automatically with business rules and with great ideas from experts in our agency. And then we moved on to the package layer and linked the MEs with the different package item layers. And so we had this, let's say, core ISO-IDMP concept where a lot of legacy data migration had to be done. The other data elements like manufacturing, etc., this was not so much of concern to us for legacy data migration. Manual preparing legacy data was needed for a number of old products. So some of very old products were not, let's say, in not the quality. The quality was good, but not in the shape or not in the structure for automatic transition. and we had to enrich the unit of presentation information into our manufactured items. So this was a lot of manual work we had to do, but finally did it. And the existing package information in our system was very helpful to find out what is the correct unit of presentation. The package layer structure, we found a way to do much of this automatically, so had to have all these layers. But then, of course, some correction had to be done, and the most effort was for the need to correct the manufactured item quantity information. So this was where we invested the most work when we talk about packages. Perfect. This was, let's say, the presentation about the IDMP work that we had to do in PHAROS. And now we will go into 3 presentations. The first one is how we consume OMS data in PHAROS. The second, and then I will hand over to Noel, is how we consume referential data. And the third one will be about substance consumption in PHAROS. And I will start with OMS. Oh, that's me, it's not Noel. Sorry, Noel. Good. And I think we're good in time, Luke. Yes, I think. Noel, what's your opinion?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yep.
Good, perfect.
Another hour.
Yes, I think that should work. I don't want to spoil it too much, but we need time because we have also prepared a live demo. We will see if this works. So what was the idea about integration of OMS? So what was the concept? In the middle, we have our core system, which is PHAROS, already said before. The input for organization data is the application form. So we do import organizations from, example, the application form, and then we do the update of OMS data via regular OMS API syncs. Yeah, so we use only applications like application forms, like clinical trials or other applications we are using to create new organizations in our system. And for the regular updates, so when any data changes in OMS, we use a new OMS API concept to receive this information and to process it accordingly. I will have a workflow in a second about this. Yes, it's not on the slide, but maybe it's a good information. We do not keep all OMS entries in PHAROS. We only have those records from OMS that we need for our activities. So for example, for regulatory activities. Then I would like to inform that for official letters, we are still using PHAROS data. So we are not relying on OMS data due to some reasons that maybe you are also aware. So for the official letters, we are still relying on PHAROS data. But all the PHAROS data in organization aspects are linked to an OMS now. So we know even if my street is written in a bit different way, we exactly know which of my record is linked to which record at OMS. For this, we have for this syncing concept, we have some kind of process, which I would like to present you, not in detail, but you can read later. But I would like to explain the thinking that is behind this process. So first of all, we are calling the OMS data repository via REST API calls, and we are receiving a CSV file, comma separated file. So we are not having multiple OMS calls for every OMS record. We have one call that delivers a CSV file from EMA. This is one option EMA provides, and we had an architectural decision to choose the CSV file option due to some instability if you call the OMS API too often. This is done daily. We receive this CSV file on a daily basis. And then we compare the gaps between our database and the OMS database. Daily, we are checking if there are some changes in the timestamps. If yes, then some actions follow. And on a weekly basis, we check if the combination of the location ID and the organization ID still exists like in EMA's database. So we check if our combinations org ID, loc ID is the same as we have it in OMS. And this check is needed to follow merging and splitting of OMS records, but also to follow all the active, inactive situations that we have in OMS systems. Here's one box crossed, deleted in a way, but I didn't want to make it blind because I wanted to say to you, we learned a lot when we implemented the system, and it was an agile process. So if you start doing this, and if you then see the behavior of OMS, if you realize how OMS data stewards are doing their work, then you might need to adapt your initial thoughts. Happened in our agency. And I'm pretty sure that this flow will change over the years based on lessons learned. But when we do the gap analysis, then we process the results. Many changes can be done automatically. But some of them also require manual interaction. So this means that in our workflow system, the system creates a workflow task for the people responsible for address management, and they confirm if they want to take the change that comes from OMS. With OMS, we had a lot of findings and challenges. So compared to RMS synchronization, OMS is much more effort for our agency. So first of all, we are aware that the CSV file option is not the best one. So we would like to get rid, but at that time, it was more stable than separate OMS calls. Maybe this has changed in the last 1.5 years, but at the time when we started, this was the best option for us. And now we are having some problems that the CSV file contains different data than the user interface of OMI. So there's one open ticket, and there was already one before. Maybe it's already solved, but when I did the presentation, this was the case. We have high administrative effort in dealing with OMS data quality. So this is nothing UNICOM specific. We know this from stakeholders, externals giving us this information. I think EMA is also aware of this and trying to deal with this topic with a key user group, but it's still a lot of effort for our business colleagues in this department to follow tickets, to follow rejected requests, etc. I don't want to go into much more detail today. Then, of course, umlaute, so you see it here in the item, are always challenging. Then fundamentally, we have a different approach. In PHAROS, we have semantic lines, so meaning street, house number, etc. In OMS, we have non-semantic lines. We have 4 address lines. And yes, maybe there is some kind of rule in what stands in line 2 or line 3. But if you have a structured semantic line system like PHAROS and a non-structured semantic line system like OMS, then you can imagine that some problems arise. The district information might be normal for other member states. In Austria, it's not normal to have the district inside the address fields. So it creates effort to delete it when we update or when we receive this information from OMS. I was informed that there are also sometimes irritation because German company names and translated English ones or vice versa have some kind of differences that raise questions. And this is also a situation with the alternative names that are able in OMS. And this also creates questions that we need to handle in our business processes. For this, for example, I'm informed that in the application forms group, there's a new backlog item, a new user story, that in the future you will be able to define which alternative name you would to have in the application form. So maybe this problem of alternative names will be solved when this will come possible in the application form. But finally, we now have OMS data in PHAROS, and we are so much proud that we also help our inspectors, because we, of course, also synchronize, as you can see here, the GPS coordinates. So this is helpful for, yeah, let's say finding addresses abroad, but also for doing travel planning when you visit more than one location in one journey. So I think this is a big success. We love it, but we have still some troubles with the challenges that I presented before. Perfect. I think that we can now move on to Noel, who will give a presentation about how we deal with application forms data, what we did inside and before UNICOM with this. And Noel, I will do the time checking.
Thank you, Georg, and thank you for your presentation. It was so nice to relax a little bit and listen to you, but we are here to work. And I'm going to tell you 3 things today. One is the importing of the EF. So for once, I can actually feel myself from the other side. Usually we're creating EFs as part of EMA. Today we are receiving them and trying to put the data automatically into our system. The second part, as Georg mentioned, is going to be on RMS. How do we keep those synchronized with our list? And SMS, of course. The last bit that we're going to touch on is a bit of an outlook, and we want to provide the data that we have also to our eHealth organizations, and we are going to use similar concept in order to facilitate that. So I'm going to take over the screen share, if that's fine with you. And hopefully you can see the exact same screen that you have just seen.
Yes, confirmed.
So starting with the EF. I mean, it is quite, everybody knows data is the reason why we're all here. It is what keeps us alive. It is what we receive, what we validate, and what we then provide. So having the same data is kind of the quality standard that we want to get to. Having the same data in our system, in applicant systems, ideally in EMA systems, is of big importance. It increases the quality of that data. And at the moment, the vessel that gives us the product data is the MEA form that starts with the product and the variation form that changes that product. So for the MEA, at least, we can take a lot of data. For the variation, we do import some as well. Not so much medicinal product data, but at least enough to facilitate our systems. And we are now prepared to receive more and more as soon as we have more data. Now, just a bit of a concept of where we are and where we've been and where we're going to. So the applicants at the moment are still, most of them are just drafting EFs, the PDFs, the legacy PDFs that we all know and that we've known for many years. But there is also the PLM portal, Product Lifecycle Management Portal, at EMA, where applicants can now at least draft central applications. And hopefully soon they will also be submitting MRP, DCP, and national variations. So this is going to use the entirety of SPOR. So not just the organizations, the referentials, but also the substances and the products. That should, in fact, already increase data quality by a lot. Because it means, well, depends on the data quality you have in your national system, but at least then we're starting to talk about the same data set. Now, in order to submit this data, we are still using the PDF forms, but the difference is that in the PDF forms today, we have something called DES, which is our data exchange standard behind the PDF, which is an XML that is proprietary to Adobe. So the exchange format, since we've been looking at it, which is kind of 2015, since we are importing this data, has always been the one from Adobe. Now, there could be changes in theory that were unintended. There were some difficulties with weird things around empty elements and so on. So it does make sense that we are now going to use a standard that is making its way through the eHealth community and now through the regulatory organizations like, well, NCAs or EMA. So at the moment, we have these two options. We still have the DES format for the legacy PDFs, but we also are able to receive, in theory, the PDFs that contain a FHIR message. So FHIR is the other standard that is going to replace the DES. Now we just take the eCDT from, well, look at the module 1, extract the EF, and import this information into our regulatory system. To be, well, from a project point of view, where we did this is kind of work package 3 has been creating the structure, work package 4 has been reading the structure. In Austria, we have this glad case where these people are kind of the same. So it is a bit simpler for us. Now, to be a little bit more technical, just a little bit, how this works. And this is a very old slide. You can see the very old robot here. The applicant uploads a PDF for an entire eCDT. We get that eCDT, we receive it via CESP, and then we have a little robot that looks into a folder and checks, oh, there is a new application, new eCDT. Let's look inside module 1, look for the PDF. If he finds the PDF, see if the PDF has an XML, and if it has an XML, take that. So this is pretty much optimized. And the next big thing would be to see, all right, and what is it now? So we need to detect the type and the version of this. So is it an MAA? Is it a variation? Is it a legacy variation? Is it a new variation with FHIR? This is now a little bit improved because the new FHIR versions will start with 2.0, so there will not be an overlap because the old ones always had 1.26, well, 24, 25, 26, and so on. And the new ones will have a 2 point something. After that, we do need a little bit of a human interaction that confirms the workflow scenario that should be started through this system. But then again, we use mainly XML and transformations of that XML to extract the data that we want. And we convert this data into Java, because Java is the language we've been implementing at the agency now for a long time. And we save this to our database. We start workflows, we create procedure folders, and then we start to involve people actually looking at this from a more validation perspective. Now, we did this in FHIR version 4.6, and this is still what we have now in production because FHIR version 5 was released, well, the XML version 2, which uses FHIR 5, was released by EMA just a few weeks ago. But it is the new stable version now. So 4.6 was the version for the last 2 years. And this is the version we've been looking at nationally, we've been testing and we've been implementing. We've been waiting for 5.0 to go further with our implementations because it was always a little bit unstable. Now we finally do have this version that we do hope we keep for the next few years, which means that it doesn't matter if you are on version 4.6 now and if you're kind of in the same boat as we are, or if you haven't started importing at all. I would say we can recommend to start now and to find this path on how to get from 4.6 or how to get from nothing to a 5.0 version. There is now some very good documentation. So there is a link behind this presentation that you can click once you have that presentation. And I'm sure Luke will share this. And let's just click this. and it will guide you to a page that will always be the same page. This is the FHIR XML release note page. It is a knowledge article where if there is a new version, it will just get attached to it. Meaning you bookmark this one and you always have the news information that you need in order to update your system. Now, as this was a very, very large update, and as we are aware that not many people are importing this right now, but many people are trying to and developing this, there is a little package right at the end that you should click. And what it gives you is a download of a zip file that contains everything you need to start this upgrade or to start your import routines. So it has the data requirements, it has, open this up for a moment. It has examples in 4.6, it has examples in 5.0, it has an HTML representation, it has the changelog, and it has examples for every resource that can be inside an application form that is either part of the variation or part of a medicinal product. So this should give you everything you need to start. And we can recommend to do this in order to decrease your administrative burden. Now, the other thing that we can provide is if you are still very new to this topic, we did give a few trainings that give you an overview of the structure of the medicinal product in FHIR. That gives you an overview of the structure of the procedure envelope, so the variation and how it looks like in FHIR. If you don't want to dive right in, but just touch, well, on top of this, take 10 fields, and we've did a presentation on how to get these top 10 fields, that we think are the most important ones. For example, we use to know which procedure to start. And the very last presentation that we gave is the most advanced one. It tells you if you want to track changes and how to see this. This is not yet relevant, as you can't actually change a medicinal product. Well, you can change like very basic things like ATC code and device, but not the entire thing. Nevertheless, the EF is ready to do that. So the EF that you receive has an XML attached. This XML is ready to receive any kind of change from a medicinal product. And as soon as the user interfaces from EMA can do this as well, the EF will include those changes. And the presentation, the last one, was on how to understand the track changes. So these presentations, they're all on YouTube. They are time-coded, so you can just jump to the interesting part and skip all the boring introduction. Now, of course, look at the introduction. And that should also give you kind of a good start. Now, we are here to import those EFs. And just so that you believe me that we actually do this, and we're not just talking about, yeah, you should do it. Even though we have a robot that does this, today I'm going to be this robot. And I'm going into our PHAROS system. This is how it looks like when you start. This is what I have to do. But we have here a little section to create a new procedure. Now, I could just type in which medicinal product I want to do a procedure on, or I choose an EF. And in this case, I will just choose an EF, and I take this one. Now, choosing this EF tells the system a couple of things. For example, it already knows now which products I actually want to change, and it will suggest these, same as I would have gotten them if I would have searched them. It says, all right, I have identified these two products in the EF, and I am assuming that this is a central variation for human. Please confirm, so I could change this if it did a mistake. And then I can say, all right, this is it, now create my procedure. Now, this takes a minute or so, which means we're gonna look in the meantime at the fields that we are extracting right now. So this is what we have in our system and we have developed. This is not our final tool, but we had to start somewhere. And as we don't actually yet receive national applications, this is just for centrally now. we've chosen this limited number of fields. Now, the first two are the most important ones, the MA number and the MA state. It's not something that we need. It's something that we need to identify to see which product is changing. This is exactly what I've shown you before. The other things are information that we want to show in the procedure folder that we open up. So in the meantime, this has opened up, and we have ribbons here for every part of the medicinal product. And we have one for the, well, we have kind of an overview as well for the medicinal product itself, for the ingredients, vet, or for application data. There is one then for variation, which is probably the most interesting right now, because there we want to see the scopes, want to see the procedure type, implementation date. I mean, domain is pretty straightforward. It's going to be human for now. Type of authorization, for now it's just cups, but we will receive different ones. We take the variation procedure numbers. We take the type of application. If it does include a line extension, if it's a work sharing or an IG. Then the procedure type, the MA holder, but only if it is for Austria, because there can be more than one MA holder, but we're only interested in the one for, well, for our country. And for that one, we take the email, the company, and for kind of more procedure information, we take the precise scope for change. Not yet the other changes, not yet the specific changes, just the precise scope for change. So we can extend this in the future, but for now it's kind of a minimum set. Then we were interested in 3 checkboxes, which is a summary of the product characteristics if it's attached, the labeling, and the package leaflet. And we're showing this automatically in the procedure folder, where people can not only look at it. For example, here you have the scope, it's a 1B. So I can change this now if I think it's not correct, but I could just look at the PDF, see, all right, this is, well, I actually don't have to look at the PDF, just look at the procedure folder here. I'll look at the ECDT to see, yes, this is okay. And in the end, I just say, okay, it gives my name, my date, and I say, all right, I'm done. And next. And this is what we do. This is how we extract the EF. If you're interested in more specific and technical things, I do believe we had talks and knowledge sessions around this. So this is kind of a summary of it. If you have questions, ask them in the chat. Georg is waiting eagerly to answer them. In the meantime, I'm going to go to the next topic, which is RMS.
You have one question in the chat, Noel.
Yes, Georg. Feel free to.
Yeah, I will answer. Luke, can you enable me to directly answer one so that you can see the tree in the chat, so that Noel can continue the presentation?
I think you are allowed to do so. No, you don't?
No, not yet.
Because strangely enough, everybody can write in the chat.
No, but I directly answering to one, so that I don't need to reference. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
RMS. RMS is a, well, a pretty large system by now, but even though it has quite a lot of lists at EMA, we have even more in Austria. Lists are what manage lists kind of manage our FHAROS system. Before there was FHAROS, there were lists, and we didn't want to hard code too much, so everything is kind of adaptable. You need a new procedure type, you create an entry in a list. You need a new type of medicine product, you create an entry in a list. So lists were always very important for us, and our data structure is not easy. Nevertheless, it is now necessary to get the IDs that EMA, well, the RMS is using. So we want to match the list that we have with the list that EMA has. And this is not just, we can't just take the list that EMA has or RMS has, because we need to map them to our terms. And many of the terms that are coming now from RMS, we have actually already created a while ago. So in order to map this, we first tried to directly call RMS. This went quite okay for a while until some unnamed, very friendly person did a few too many calls to RMS and shut the system. Now they have implemented a throttling while they are trying to figure out how to enable RMS for a larger user base. This throttling, unfortunately, prevents us from doing a proper synchronization. Which is why we're using a private, well, we bought a tool called Sporify, which is for us kind of a pass-through API. It caches RMS and it allows us to do as many calls as we want. We're not limited to 50 calls per minute. The other nice thing about it, it has a 99-something% uptime. And if we look at SPOR at the moment, it is quite a bit below that. I don't know if it's 80%, but we do experience quite a lot of downtimes. As we don't want them, we went through kind of this proxy API now. The second bit is we have a lot of national extensions. So even though we want to use the RMS lists, we need our own database and our own extended lists, which we have our own system above this, which is in Oracle Apex developed, that gives us access and the ability to change lists. Nevertheless, once an ID is on the 100 something term, we know it's coming from EMA. We're using the 900 something for our national ones. The principle that we use to synchronize is the modified after. That if you do synchronize, you probably notice. You can put a date to RMS and it gives you the changes that happened since that date. This is quite useful. We do still need to post-process this. And there is an algorithm there, which is on the next page, which I'm going to show you in a minute. The last thing is that we have now decided if a new term comes along or if an update comes along, many of them we actually want to look at. Some of them we don't. So we have this synchronization tool that gives us a list of terms that a person needs to check before they update our own national system. If we identify a term where we think ours is better, but we can't actually submit it as a change request, we have the concept of a blacklist, meaning an update comes along, we don't want that, and the next time it comes along, we also don't want that. So we blacklist the term and it will never again synchronize. How does this work? So we have decided that we're not doing ad hoc. We tried ad hoc synchronizations once. It was okay, but it was not necessary. It was a bit too much of a strain. So we're now doing this once a week. It seems like it's enough. And every synchronization results into either, well, an existing term needs an update, or there is a new term ID. So we're matching by term ID. If you don't match, it should be new, but it might not. So there is the other possibility that if there is a new term ID, it could be that the name is exactly the same. So if the system does match the name, all it does is it will update our local ID with the ID that comes along from RMS. And the next time we have the link established. If we go down the path, the left path here, where we say, all right, we do have this ID already. So this is a change to our current term. There is, for one, two big options. One is a text update, and the other one is that it has been invalidated. The term that we want, that we have, is no longer valid. It is now non-current. Could be nullified or non-current. Current is most likely, especially for, well, I'm going to get there for substances. Then we also set our term non-current. We call them valid too. We give them a date, and we still show them in our systems, but you can no longer select them actively. So next time you touch it, you have to change it to something else. Or it comes via an EF, and then it would not take the term. The other option is the text update. for text update, we have actually 3 options. It can be the name, the description, or the state, state being a different update. But for name and descriptions, we look at the English and the German ones. Saying German ones because we actually have 2 Germans. So let's spend a minute to think about the difference between Austria and Germany. It's mainly the language. We do speak German, but we kind of, well, have our own little words that we really like. So there is not just German, there is the German, which is called DE/DE, and German, which is DEAT. And our principle is we are fine with using the Germany term, but if there exists a German-Austrian term, we're going to take that one because we like the Sackerl that of, well, whatever Germany uses. And if we don't have either of them, we're going to use the English one because, well, we still understand English. Now, if there is a change in the German one, so the German one, we want to check that. We want to see if this is fine, so it comes into a list. If there is a difference in the English one, we're fine with it. We don't need to check that. We assume that the English update that comes along has been checked by other people. We're not too keen on this. We're using this as backup anyway. So we're just going to update this. And if there is a difference in German-Austrian one, it's probably us anyway, so we're going to update this. And you can follow this algorithm, but you would need to understand German. I'm sorry, I have not translated this. Now, to look at this, I have prepared the second demo for today. And the second demo will put us into a system that is currently being developed. Right, while we are talking and presenting here, our team of developers and analysts are actually doing the work behind the scenes and changing this constantly. So this is not yet finished, but it is good enough for me to show you. It starts with a list of, not all the lists yet because we're still working on it, but it already has a lot of them. And for each of these lists, we have the English name, we have the name that it is called in our own system, and we have a flag that we can change if we want to synchronize it or if we don't want to synchronize it. As it already does this on a weekly basis, you will see when the last synchronization has happened, how many new terms there currently are, how many updated terms, and how many terms there would be updated, but we don't want them because they're on the blacklist. Now, if we say, all right, there are 9 for the combined term, there are 9 new terms and 7 updates. Just looking at the time. Georg, how long do I have?
You're good in time.
24 minutes.
Yes, we're good in time. So we have time until 3:30.
So we're going to look at the next ribbon.
Yeah, but if you continue that pace, I think it should work.
Perfect. So now we can see the combined term. Let's make this just a bit small, too small. Okay, combined term is the catalog. It's called in German, it's called Darreichungsform, and most of the time. And there are a lot of RMS term names which are new. And we do not have an Austrian term name for it. We do get a German one right now. And if I want to do some changes to this, I can. So below that, if I select this, will come what is coming along from EMA. And we should have here now, what do we currently have in the Austrian? This is not yet implemented. Right now, I can overwrite it, but I don't yet see what we have here. So it should say this. So this is how it would work like. If this is a new term, what I would do is I would say, yes, this is what I want. And then I click this little button here and it will create the term in my system. If I'm unhappy with this term or with this translation, I would add it to the blacklist. And I would say, just because it is a Wednesday, and it will add this specific term ID to my blacklist. So the next time I do a synchronization, it will not bother me again. If this is a new term, there will be another thing that we have already implemented, but it is not yet shown in our quality system, which is a similarity match. So what it does is it takes usually a Levenstein algorithm, and which calculates the distance in letters inside a word, and it looks for similar terms. Because quite often a term comes along and we actually already have that term. We just have a 9 something number for it. So what I can do then, it will give me a similarity search. I can click on the similar term and it then assigns a new term ID to that term. And that's pretty much it. I can filter this on new or on change terms. So I could say just the new terms, please. I could do a filter on a date. These are the new terms. So some materials that we currently don't have, for example. There are also some status changes here that I have. Well, this is actually a new term that is coming along that is non-current. So I don't know if we're going to take these, but it is good to know. Now, blacklist is currently, this is a quality system. It has the exact entry that I just made. I am Noel 25 because I was 25 when I started at the Austrian agency. Look at me now. History and log is not yet implemented, but what we want is a run history where we have the logging if the run is successful or it failed, and a log if somebody did create a term, it will log it here. What we did though is a test ribbon, and this is quite a fun bit. So what we can do here is ask our testers or developers to give us some pretty examples, because, well, we have to test this quite extensively. And this, if you do want to implement a system like this, testing it is not easy because you need updates from RMS, and you can't just ask RMS to send you updates. So what we're doing here is we're simulating updates. So we have this own little test system for it, where you can either revert a catalog because you've messed it up as a tester, or you can say, well, I just want to simulate. I have this, this catalog here with this list ID, and I'm going to add a Jaguar, a test Jaguar. And it would, I would say, start simulation. And what it does, it will give me a new Jaguar. Add a Jaguar, and then I can go to my term checks and see if I can find the Jaguar. Probably. No, I cannot. So let's see if I can find myself. Of course, I cannot. This is what happens if you do a live demo from time to time. Let's search by term ID. Here's my Jaguar. It's test Jaguar in English. So you do need users who know how to use the system, and then it will find them. So this test Jaguar would be simulating a new species, and I could accept this new species, or I could say no.
No, this is keep speaking. I know you love RMS synchronization. No, it is also
done.
acting.
No worries.
But I think now we need to go to something that you even love more, the substance integration.
Of course. Thank you for looking at the time. I do welcome. Run into these nice, pretty demos for too long. Substances. If you have looked at the EUDCT list or the SMS list that is currently there, you will find more than 70,000. I think it's 76,400 something substances, which is way too much. It is very messy. There are a lot of duplicates. So the positive thing is it is a complete list, which is the reason why we want it. We want the IDs. We want a complete list. We are not happy about the duplicates that we have there. Our national list in PHAROS has about 20,000 substances. So we know we're missing a few and we want them, but we also don't want the other 50,000 duplicates that probably exist in SMS. So how do we tackle this? For one, not every substance that we have in our system is going to be used in our lifecycle management, because what we do is we create substance master folders. So just because it is a term doesn't mean we are actually using this term in the ingredients. So the ingredients have to be selected from a substance master folder. And this master folder has more information than just a substance in a substance list. It has, well, synonyms, they are there as well, but it has information on doping, narcotics, psychotropics, on drug interactions, pharmacovigilance issues had in the past, different IDs from different systems, the type, the base substance calculations, and the documentations like ASMFs. Now, we synchronize SMS with a few principles. First principle, we handle SMS like any other RMS list. Just because it has its own API doesn't mean it's something special. I mean, of course it is, but you don't have to treat it that way. Second, we only synchronize substances on demand. So we don't want to have the 70,000 substances in our 20,000 list. We are going to take them whenever we need them. If we receive an EF with a substance we don't have, we're going to go through our RMS sync tool. Going back to now. And the substance will be here, most likely. And we just select it and we say, yes, this is the one we want. We use the field comment from SMS. So SMS has a very neat field called comment, where they put, if they put a substance non-current, they're going to write in there why they did it and what is the substance that, well, most likely because of it's a duplicate, what is the other substance? And the substance ID will be in the comment field. We checked this last week and it actually is there. We're going to take a few new fields because they're neat. Not just the substance name source, because well, we need that already, and we have that already, but we also want to have the type. We have that, but slightly different. So we're going to try to synchronize this. We're going to get the weight and the formula. And I'm going to show you right in a minute why we're taking the formula. Last but not least, the synchronization will help us a little bit because it will also tell us if this substance is being used already in our system, because that means we need to update our master folders. So most of these checks, they are there because we are expecting a lot of mergers on substances in the next few years from EMA, and we need to handle those non-current terms that come along. Now, yeah, so I've mentioned before, we have this, this formula that you get here. Now, the formulas look like this here in the title, WM, OU, etc. This is how you encode a substance structure. Now, what you can do with this is you could query PubChem. PubChem is a public register with all chemicals, and it has all substances. So you take this, this little value here, and you use PubChem by looking at the compound, and then you put this string value, and then you choose, do you want to have a 3D structure or a 2D structure? If you choose 3D, it will show you the image of this structure, which is very neat. If you don't want to burden your system, you can do the same thing with 2D. And the other nice side effect, what it does is it takes this string as an input, and it tells you also the name of this. So if, for whatever reason, EMA made a mistake, SMS is not correct. They give you this huge list of substances, but so this is the SMS list. Probably know that. You can I can pick any string here at random. This will always be here if it is a substance. And you put this inside this link, and you can show this inside your own system. And it will show you the image, but it will also show you the name. And if you translate this one is the Polish one. But if you look at the English one, it is the exact same name as an SMS. So this is a neat little add-on. If you want, you can just take this little piece of code that I've attached to the PowerPoint and show it as an iframe. An iframe is something you can show in your web page in your own procedure system. Or if you're pretty more modern, you can use a REST service to get this same image.
Now, maybe to add to this, once EU
Yes.
SRS, so the European Substance Registration System, would provide such a function, then of course we would link to this EU RSS system. But currently, this is a good idea in the meantime.
Yeah. So I've been using PubChem since I was a little pup. We learned that in University of Bioinformatics. This is the system that you go to because it's the most complete existing system in the world. Of course, it has everything, every chemical. So we are only focused on a specific ones, and their EUSRS is, of course, more focused and would be probably a better system. So last topic for today, a bit of an outlook. Bit of taking whatever we learned right now, importing FHIR, and trying to do it ourselves. So we are providing information to our to our e-health communities, to pharmacies in an indirect way, but people kind of rely on the data that we give them, and this is medicinal product data. So we thought about, well, let's create our own FHIR version 5 export. And this is how you would start doing this. So at hl7.org/FHIR, you will find the current 5.0 version. What we do is we start with the data requirements from the electronic application form because it has the links to it has all the fields that are available. You then choose the fields that you want. And it has the FHIR paths in 5.0. So there is not a lot of mapping that you need to do. There is no ambiguity. You can take these. They will also match the next version of the EU-IG that will be published. So you can take the EU-IG as well, but you will find a little bit more information in here. Point number 4 would be to add your national requirements. Now, our eHealth community wants, for example, the PZN number for every package. This is a national number that identifies every package in Austria, and we have to include this. Now, this, of course, you will not find in any EU lists, so you have to create an extension in FHIR. Extensions are how you get information in that you kind of come up with yourself or your country comes up with them. And I have 2 examples here. One is the PZN that I've mentioned, where you do have to kind of find a name for this extension. And for that one, we took the one that exists. So we get into touch with our communities in Austria. There is the HL7 FHIR Austria community. And you see, all right, is there something already that is called like this? And if not, you come up with your own extensions, and there you use your own URL, you say extension, and you put the name of the attribute that you want. And then you create this using, we use Java. So the only option that we have is Happy FHIR, which is the library to use to create a JSON or an XML file message. Currently, this is how it looks like, which is Clamel, which is a system from Germany developed. It is a very old system. It is okay. But we thought, well, let's use it has one downside. You can see if you have 5 substances, it's encoded. You have substance 1, 2, 3, 4. etc. You can't, it's not object oriented. You can't just say, okay, I have N substances. There is a limit. So this is just a list. So why did we go there? Well, EMA decided to use FHIR as a messaging format, which was kind of the main driver for this. eHealth is using it. Apple is using it. I don't know if this is a show of hands that it is something that is going to stay there for a while in this domain. We are doing now this prototype in PHAROS with the R5 format, and we're giving this to the eHealth organization that is responsible for the electronic health records in Austria. And they're going to look at it and see if this is usable for them. Now, FHIR is object-oriented, which is, well, for one, the good thing, you can do a lot more complex things. The downside may be eHealth doesn't need those complex things. So we had a talk with them and we gave them this is the structure that we have now. Look at all the beautiful things we can do with a medicine product. And then we went through it and we said, well, actually, we don't need that part and this part is not of interest for us. And there we don't need this. So we crossed off everything that eHealth was not interested in. And we remained with a very short list. So this is the prototype that we'll do now. The nice thing is it is object-oriented. We will give them the concepts of manufactured items and administered products, which some eHealth people don't even know about because they don't need it. They just want to know the active substance and that's it. But we tell them, well, if you manufacture something, it can be an active substance in one and the other manufactured item can be different in the administered product. So maybe this is information that you should be interested in. And they said, yes, give this to us. And we said, all right, let's do this. And that's it.
Thanks, Noel, so much. Well done, I think. Thank you. Noel, I propose you keep sharing your screen because we have only one more slide. And I think I can do this via your screen sharing. So let's come to the conclusions. And this is the last slide. And I'm proud of all of you because we are still 106 people. So I hope you enjoyed what we presented. Please, next slide, Noel. Yes. So first of all, I really need to say thanks to Sonja Königshofer. She didn't speak in this presentation, but she helped us to, let's say, find information that you might be interested into and gave so much business input about this. So thanks a lot, Sonja. Thanks, Noel, for spending so much time as well. And colleagues, I really hope that we increase your motivation to work on IDMP concepts. We really hope that you have seen that this can be done, and it helps to bring us the regulatory network into this data-driven future, because we think data is the key for data-driven decisions and for many, many use cases that we have around. And so this is really helpful. And UNICOM and IDMP.
Did we just lose Georg?
I'm afraid so. You might take it over, Noel.
Take our message. Bye. Well, I can take it over. So I think what Georg wanted to say is it took us a while to understand all of these concepts, and it is not something you do from today to tomorrow. It's a marathon. There are all these little parts. They're not just guideline improvements and FHIR versions. There is the improvement of your own system. If you look just at the standard, you need to understand it. You do UX improvements based on this, like the thing we did with administered product manufactured items, where I think this is a very huge help for the people that they don't have too much info.
Yes, I'm back. I'm sorry for this.
Hi, Georg. I tried to take over.
Thank you.
One last thing I wanted to say. Yeah. I think the best thing that we did is like the manufactured item unit, and having this the same for all ingredients. It just makes sense. There is a a UX improvement that is not just UX, it's data improvement that we did there. Just because IDMP tells you, well, this is the option, doesn't mean you should do this. So if you look at the recording, go back to that section. This is one of the best things I think we did.
Thank you. Sorry for my connection problem. This happens when you're not at home office. So we have finally 3 take-home messages. So the first one is, or when you do this, we all know in UNICOM, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And we also are now aware that we will have future, or we expect additional effort in the future. There will be updated guidelines from EMA, there will be updated FHIR versions, UX improvements will be raised by our users. Data enrichment will have to be implemented once the EF will be prepared for this. The sync with PMS, so maybe you mentioned we talked about RMS, SMS, and OMS, but not about PMS. So we're planning to download PMS data, especially for centralized products. Improvements on OMS will come, and we need to finalize the mapping to all to your European terms and get rid of national ones. Second take-home message, maybe you have the same situation as we are. Maybe the structure is more enhanced than the data enrichment. So we are expecting more data from the application forms. And as
Noel, it's for you again.
From the application forms, and we are evaluating the PMS API to download cups. I'm saying evaluate because PMS is still on a very old FHIR version. We'll see if we want to use this. And also getting an account from PMS will take a while. They're going live with the READ API in May only. So right now the access that we have is very limited. So this is the concept that we need to look at. Georg, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Yeah.
So and finally, I think the IDMP language is perfectly for the communication inside the network, inside the regulatory network. Maybe it's too complex for some our data consumers outside, and that's why we have this prototype. And maybe this is something you also can consider doing your implementations. Colleagues, it's 3:30. We are finished on time. Thanks a lot for joining us that long. As I said before, this will be recorded, so other interested people can watch it on YouTube. I never watch because I can't see me in video. Thanks, Luke, for preparing this recording, and goodbye from Austria. And please, if you have questions, contact us. And it was a pleasure to be able to present our outcomes in this meeting. Thanks a lot. Back to you, Luke.
Thank you, Georg. And I would like to give just the floor to Christer to finish, to announce the next knowledge transfer webinar. Christer, are you with us?
Yes, thank you, Luke. I'm here. Thank you, Georg and Noel, for a very extensive presentation. It's very good to have it on YouTube, actually. It's a lot of information. You still have some maybe unanswered question in the chat. Maybe you can do that afterwards. But so thanks a lot from the Austrian colleagues as well, Sonia and others. And I just want to announce that the best practice session or the knowledge sharing, the last one actually during the UNICOM project, is the 2nd of April, and it's Portugal. And I think the time is 10 o'clock, but Luke will surely send an invitation to you all to participate on the last one, because every NCA has done at least 2 best practice session and knowledge sharing sessions. So Portugal is the last in line for this project at least. So thank you. Thanks a lot, all of you. Thanks for your active questions in the chat as well. And see you soon again.
Yes, for all the questions that I didn't answer, please drop an email to me. I will reply in a written manner. Thank you.
I will help you in that also, Georg.
Thanks, Luke.
To make sure we don't miss anything. Just a last communication. So the project is slowly but surely getting to a first end. Hopefully something will continue after it. But we will have a final event in Brussels on the 26th of April, 25th and 26th, but 26th will be open to everybody. So you will also receive very soon now the information about that event, that we want to be also to be a high-level event. So meaning trying to engage all the people who have a say and a decision making to make things happen quicker and better in the future, still better and still quicker. So you are most welcome. You will receive an information on this soon, with, if you can, of course, the link to the registration, as it's a free, of course, event, and we will be most happy to see you in Brussels if you can. That's it for me.
And bye-bye, Luke. Bye-bye, Krista.
Bye.
Noel.
Bye,
Bye-bye,
everybody.
colleagues.
Have a very nice day.
Hope
Thanks
you
for
will
joining.
join tomorrow at 10 o'clock, Georg, at the meeting 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Yes, I will be there. I will be in free meeting.